Hello there and welcome to this vlog of May 2024, and in today's video I am going to talk about some of my favourite BattleTech modern artists. When we say modern, I'm not going to put any ground rules on this per se, but it's artists that are prominent in the community. They do a lot of work either officially with Catalyst or unofficially, just like online or on like blog posts or wherever else that they are featured. The reason why I wanted to do like say modern artists, that's not to say modern art, like some of this is quite classic art, but people who are still operating as artists now, is because I find that in the community we give so much love to the older artwork, and quite rightly for some of it, because it's art that just defines what BattleTech is. So it's incredibly important. But I think sometimes we veer too far looking back when we've got some absolutely incredible artists. In fact, we're very, very privileged, I think, for some of the artists that we've got at the moment. They use like modern techniques which just give BattleTech so much life. Obviously, over the last like 20-25 years there have been major developments across like technology. So you've got things now like MechWarrior 5, which I know MechWarrior 5 isn't without its issues, but it looks pretty superb. And even then, I still think that you can create a game where you can almost like feel like you are piloting the mech because it looks very realistic. It's not like Mech Warrior 1, which was just like very blocky. The new games are like very immersive. They look pretty spectacular as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, they look pretty spectacular. Even then, though, I'd say that the artists give more life to BattleTech than that kind of format ever could, which is weird because the way that something like Mech Warrior 5 looks and feels is pretty much probably true to life about how like a mech would operate. But just if you get an artist who can just capture that still image of something, and you can just tell such a story through it which kind of ignites your imagination. Not to get too philosophical about it, but it really is that constant discussion between what is art, what brings art alive for individuals. Art as being subjective or objective. This is my take on it. So I just find more credence and more, I suppose I would use the term joy. Like, you can look at an image across what some of these artists are doing and just be like, that's it, that's exactly it, that's exactly what I think that setting would look like. Again, I think in things like computer games, as brilliant and spectacular as they can look, there is a lot of like bells and whistles on there, and it just always seems to me to lack a little bit of heart. And that's not to take away from any one of the people working on the art on things like that, but it's just like heart for me is like the emotional connection that you'd have then to something like a still image. So just to put that down there anyway before I get into this. I'm acutely aware that there are other formats for this or whatever else, but I just want to give some love to the current people working in BattleTech that I think give a real voice to it. And I think it's so important for the IP as well. Even like in like the 80s and 90s, it was more important because it was one of the only ways you could kind of bring the world alive. Now there are different ways to do that. For instance, I know it's difficult, but one day we may get like a BattleTech TV show, if they can ever kind of sort out the license, and that would then bring it alive in a different format. Let's just assume that's not going to happen, though. Art is one of the main things that we have to just get the world like feeling real, right? So I've picked here a selection of like several artists. Some artists just have like one picture, some have several. It's in alphabetical order, so there's no kind of ranking or hierarchical order. Some of these artists I know personally. Some of them I just found doing research for this little video. So there you go. Very, I suppose, an eclectic collection. And the first one here that we have is from Eldon, otherwise known as Eldoniousrex. You will, if you have watched any of the Tex Talks BattleTech series, you will have seen a ton of stuff from Eldon. I've got, I mean, I know I'm little in the corner at the moment, but I have got his artwork like peppered all over my house pretty much. I think I've even got fridge magnets of his. So yeah, he's probably the artist that I have just in general. I mean, outside of any of the art that I love, like classic art, for instance, I think Eldon is probably the person I've got the most of, and I certainly buy everything that he comes out with. I've even got, I don't know how much you can see this actually, but I've even got little placemats or like beer mats that you can, or whatever you call these things, coasters, that's what you call them, like all over my house. I think I've got about 20 of them. So yeah, I love Eldon's work, and he's a fantastic guy as well. So you should, if you can do, support Eldon's work. He's got like, he's on several different channels, but specifically he is known for what he does for techs in the BattleTech Talks BattleTech series, and he also has started to do a lot of official work with Catalyst, some of which I'll show in these next couple of slides. This one here, though, this is one of my favourite like pieces of art that he does. This is obviously Natasha Kerensky. This is her, almost like the two iterations of Natasha. So on the left-hand side here, you've got her with the Warhammer. Is it called, it's just names flown out of my head. Is it Tomahawk? I think she calls it. I can't remember. But this is like in her early days when she's quite young. And you can see, I love the kind of symbolism behind this. It's like that cracked wall between the Wolf's Dragoons and Clan Wolf. And then you've got this like early day, like rebellious Natasha, of the Widowmakers, the Natasha that really kind of set the scene down for much of the like the BattleTech story, her and like Jamie Wolf. But Natasha is the kind of dark horse, bit crazy, bit horrible, very ruthless, and a brilliantly skilled like mech warrior. But that's kind of my Natasha. This like, in the 3020s Natasha that goes up against the bounty hunter, that's the Natasha I love. Then we've got kind of the latter day clan, because she is a clanner, obviously, but this is where she goes like full clan when the clans have invaded the inner sphere, and she goes into Widowmaker, which is the big direwolf here. These as well, I mean, these are very much modelled on the new plastics. So they look absolutely fantastic, the mechs in the background. But I just love how like Natasha then looks very clan-esque. Like she's got like the wolf helmet, she's wearing the preposterous like outfit, like the wrestling leotard and the leather cape. I mean, just glorious. One of his absolute finest works, this, I think, Eldon. But it's a high bar because he has an incredible like back catalogue of material now. We got another Eldon one here. This is from his latest series of works, which is on the Grey Death Legion. So this is, the Grey Death Legion are obviously one of the first things in BattleTech. The first books that came out dealt with the Grey Death Legion. This though is kind of the updated, when they restart themselves again in the Ilkhan era. But again, what I love about this is it's kind of like Eldon will usually do like poster type artwork, like he's done like Star League things, like Join Up Today and things like that. This though is in showing a different talent, which is doing that like dynamic scene of like I don't know what that is, some kind of like jet bike or something, like flying through the over the road there. There's a clan elemental. It just looks like it's very, very fast paced. It looks very cartoony, but in the best possible way. He's done loads of stuff on the Grey Death Legion, and if you actually buy the new books, he has got the cover art for it. I didn't show that though because that's his kind of stationary pictures. Because it'll just show like the Marauder from the Grey Death Legion, which obviously looks fantastic, but it's very much like the classic like Eldon pose, whereas this is him like demonstrating a different side to what he does. Next up, we have to rotate this round 1 second. There we go. There might be a few of those that are not rotated, so I'll have to do that a few times. This is obviously a clan elemental. This is clan held horses, as you can see from the icon in the background there. He's really, or Eldon, sorry, has really kind of got into this like art style of doing that like breakdown. So like you can see here, there's that like the I'm guessing it is myoma. Can never say that word. Myoma from the like what the mechs use. Not sure if the elementals use that, but it's something like that. And then it kind of you get then down into the elemental, the person within the suit. This is a classic elemental, so it's just the I say it's regular. It seems to have it's got like a machine gun on the left arm, which isn't standard for an elemental, so it might be a specific variant, but it's definitely got the SRM2s in there on the shoulders. He did a wonderful piece as well, but I don't think there's a good enough image of it yet because it'll be out in the next Kickstarter. But there is like an overlay. If you bought the $200 like History of BattleTech book that they did for the recent Kickstarter, it's like an overlay of I think it's a dropship. So it's like 3 pages of like translucent plastic that you can kind of it starts with a picture of the dropship or the whatever it is. You open it up and it'll kind of show you this kind of image where it'll show you what's inside the dropship, and then you open it again and there's like I don't know like mechs in the mech bay or whatever. And yeah, I mean I saw like a version of that as someone like flicking through it. I think it was one of the Catalyst guys was like flicking through it and it looked incredible. So if you're getting that book, I think I'm getting the standard book and I imagine it's in there as well, but it won't be as elaborate. It's just probably going to be 3 pages of paper as opposed to the this like translucent, which is the $200 version of that book is literally all singing all dancing. When you open it, it says it does the whole Mech Warrior mechs online type thing. So yeah, that's why it's $200. I didn't go for it though because it's one of those things that I think that would actually get in the way of reading the book, and it looks like a really interesting book that documents all of BattleTech. But this is something that Eldon's been doing quite a bit of, and I think it's really, really impressive and gives you like a real insight into how the kind of mechanics of things like a dropship or an elemental look. And he's doing this officially for the IP, so this is with the guidance of the people that kind of run the outfit and the kind of custodians for BattleTech. So you can kind of take this to the bank that this is how the universe looks and feels. Moving on from Eldon now, we've got here Flying Debris. This is someone that I randomly found a few days ago, and I really, really like this one. It might be a slightly older image because this is a pillager in the background here. It's a pillager that it looks like the old metal model pillager, although the current one is not out yet. The plastic one will be arriving in the next Kickstarter, but it just looks. I love the colour on this, that like orange tint. I love the kind of Mad Maxy dystopian feel to it as well. Like you got these 2 soldiers with the with these massive like weapons and the tank there. I think this is definitely a Capellan force because I think that is is it a Hellion? Oh, I can't remember what you call it, but yeah, it's kind of one of the Civil War era mechs. Pillager's a mech as well that I definitely associate with the Capellans, and there's a hunchback in the background. So it just looks nasty. I think it looks very like on the brutal side of what BattleTech art can be. That like, there's no real grimdark in BattleTech, but there is some element to it which is dystopian. There are worlds that are like very backwards or just like just clinging on to life or like nuclear hellscapes. Keep in mind though that that's not the standard in BattleTech. It's one thing that really sets BattleTech apart from most IPs in that there is everything in the universe, in the galaxy. So you've got planets which are like really successful, have never been touched by war, and are like probably how like planet Earth would be if we got out of the doldrums and got on steering good course. Might be like how we are in like 50 to 100 years. Like there's really good levels of like education and healthcare, and people are generally relatively fit and healthy, things like that. And then you've got pictures like this, which is like this kind of dystopian landscape of like soldiers fighting their way through. So a little bit of everything in BattleTech. And generally speaking, I think like the tech base for most worlds in BattleTech is pretty much 20th 21st century. That's why it's so relatable. But this is one of those like probably on some kind of like war-torn world or down a canyon or in some kind of like on some I'm guessing it's not on some kind of moon because they do have breathing equipment on, so it might be a moon that has like an oxygen atmosphere, but it's just it just looks gritty and gnarly, and I just love the kind of style of this. It's very impressive. Never came across it before, but there you are, Flying Debris, whoever you are. Very good job here. Next up, we have got Hatchy. Hatchy is, I mean, what can you say about Hatchy, really? Probably, well, I'm not even going to say probably. She is my favourite artist. She's done commissions for me as well, so something you'll see as we're going through this, because there are quite a few pictures here from our Hatchy. What I adore about Hatchy's work, though, is that she is to me the bridge between the old and the new. So her style is like, the way that she actually creates the art is modern, but her style is very like old school. So she's got like an appreciation of like classic period of BattleTech, but she's not just kind of drawing like the old line art that you get in like the original TROs. It's very much up to date. I love these little like, I don't know what you call them, like little diorama pieces where she'll just every mech that is part of the Hatchie's Helpers, which is Hatchie's like mercenary outfit, and Captain Hatchsoon Brown, who is the kind of leader of the Hatchie's Helpers. She will do like, in their little mercenary unit, and it is quite small as well. They're basically like a search and rescue operation, which I love about them as well. It's not like, most people create like mercenary outfits or their own kind of specific thing in BattleTech, and it gets crunchy very, very quickly. I know that I've kind of done that with the Dust Counters as I've kind of, created their force. Hatchie never did that. Like, she very much orientates towards like the unloved or derpy side of BattleTech, which is very interesting because she then does the artwork for it, which gives like a whole new take on it and breathes life into things that people are otherwise not breathing life into. She then does, this is almost like a TRO page then, so she'll write like copy down on like the pilots for this particular mech. So this is the Hyperbofleet, which is a wonderful name, very creative, and a flea obviously, so the very like the tiniest of all BattleTech mechs. And she'll kind of talk about her specific variants of it that are usually like wrapped with like really interesting technologies and electronics and things of that nature. So that's kind of the standard. That's kind of the standard of Hatchie's art for herself. This then kind of demonstrates, again, the kind of quirky aspect to it. You see this one of those little like, it's like a Volkswagen Beetle there. She loves beagles as well, and I love beagles. She puts beagles. This dog here that you can just see is definitely a beagle. She loves a beagle, and that's Hatchy as well, the captain and two of her like staffers there. And this is like, again, just glorious art. It's so vibrant and alive, and which is kind of ironic because it's just like in the desert. Like, it's not like full of really interesting colours and schemes and everything. It's just really kind of dead on. It just really pops out like the purple against this like regular like camo or some kind of like olive drab or whatever it is that the mechs are rocking there. This is Hatchie's like, I suppose her staple mech is Cheap and Easy, which is just a variant of the urban mech with this ridiculous like beanie with the cat ears on there. So you always know a Hatchie's Urby when you see it because it just looks like that. It's got all this like elaborate electronic software on, which makes sense because it's, they're a search and rescue unit, so they're not in there to kind of deal masses of damage. They've just got enough weaponry to kind of fight into a situation and fight out at speed. I think this is always the Oscout, I think. Guessing it's an Oscar because it's quite small, and she does love the Os series, much like I do. So, you can probably see why I resonate so much with Hatchy. But where Hatchy, I think, well, she excels in two things. So I think there are three more pictures here. So the first one, this is a commission that she did for me. These are the original 4 Dust Counters. I think she spent quite a lot of time on this one, and she still owes me a commission, but I've just not cashed in on it yet. So I probably will get her to do the mechs of the Dust Counters at some point. But she's brilliant, I think, at bringing things to life. I mean, I kind of had it in my mind what the Dust Counters were like. I kind of briefed her in if you want to get a good piece of commissioned artwork, you always need to give a solid brief. And she just then absolutely owned it. Was just like, yep, I know what you want. I can see it in my mind's eye, and then she just delivered on it. The Dust Counters are quite, an early stage. They're quite a gritty mercenary outfit. So I kind of wanted it in a bit of like an industrial setting. You know, they're not kind of they're not clean. They're not like the Wolves Dragoons or anything like that. They're much more kind of on the like a modern Wilson Cesars or something like that. And this, in my mind's eye now, this is just how the Dust Counters look. Like the four original like members of the Dust Counters, she just nailed it. So yeah, I'm at some point when I kind of get my act together, I'll brief her in properly and give her some kind of time frames on doing me the kind of original lance of the Dust Counters, which these four pilot. And then the next two is basically the thing that why I adore Hatch's work so much is the humour. So two things coming up now, which certainly I think the funniest things I've ever seen in BattleTech. So the first here is Hatchi herself, or her character, giving a tattoo to Melissa Steiner Davian. This piece is called Bad Princess. Let's just read through this because I love these little comic strips that she does. So this is Melissa here. How is it coming, Hatchi? Great, Melissa. It looks like a prison tattoo. Perfect. Can I sign it? Sure. And the just absolute brilliant, hilarious thing here. It's the old classic like Korean. It's Teddy Kurita's dad. He's basically evil, but he's got like really crazy artwork in the kind of, you know, the pantheon of BattleTech, and she's just doing that as a tattoo on Melissa's back that then says, "Hi Hans, how's it hanging?" which is just brilliant. I think I breathed through that together quite quickly, but it's such a, you know, if you know like the BattleTech storylines between like Hans Davian and the Koreans and, you know, Melissa Steiner Davian, it's just a perfect little comic strip there. And then something she did relatively recently. Again, I bet you anything she like throws this together in like several hours. It's an urban mech in some kind of like back street, paying to see the. Well, it's the cat house. So these are the, you know, the Canopian cat girls, which is the kind of desk is being operated by a quick draw, which I just don't know what to think about this. You see here is like no light mechs, and obviously the OB is a light mech, but it's chunky and he's kind of trying to hide himself. So Hatchi, I think she just more than anyone, I think gets the wholesome comedy that can be BattleTech. It's not all like doom and gloom and like nuclear hellscapes. It is meant to be quirky and funny and cheeky, which is why I love it so much. It's why I think it sets it apart from any of the other like big gaming IPs that you come across, which are usually like deadly serious or very grimdark. BattleTech is absolutely not that. So there you are, Hatchi. There's my little ode to you. I know sometimes you watch these videos as well, so I hope you appreciated that. Next up, I think this is a beautiful piece of art. This is by Leonovic Dimitri. I found this guy on, I was just doing some research on it across platforms like DeviantArt. This picture, as soon as I saw this, I was like, that is incredible. You see, just talk through this. So it shows that, like, again, not to say that BattleTech is... what's the word? You know, like grimdark is the word that people use, but there's a real grimdark feel to this. It reminds me of something. I don't know if any of you in the 80s watched a kids show called Sunder the Barbarian. Long story. It's like a prelude to He-Man. It came back into my mind recently because the guys at Guerrilla Miniatures do a series on grimdark media, and they did Sunder the Barbarian, and this to me looks like something from Sunder the Barbarian, that like there's almost like a matte painting, but it's kind of, there's like hope in there as well. There's these like kids just playing on this ruined mech. There's a catapult in the background. Important to say, this would probably never happen in BattleTech. Like, this stuff would have been salvaged, right? No one would like leave mechs, you know, just kind of sat in the ocean unless something crazy happened, like they were, I don't know, they were on a forgotten world somewhere that's been populated and the water levels come down and they've just now been exposed, which kind of may have happened here. Like, they do look like they've been underwater, like they're very rusted and broken up, beaten up, and these kids have just found it and are using it as like a, you know, like a swing, which I love. Did some research on this mech. Apparently the artist himself just said that it's no particular mech, it's just something that he created a design for. It's like a Franken mech, which I think I want to see this mech. It looks like an adapted Catathract, but but yeah, just a beautiful piece of art. I love the ocean. I love it. It just everything about it is a juxtaposition. You know, you've got that colourful, vibrant sea. It looks like somewhere in the Southeast Asia or something. And then you've got this ruined mech and these kids. It's just a beautiful picture. Moving on then, we've got another one here. This is from Oliver Inc. This is an artist there's quite a few things around. I think he generally operates on Facebook. I think if it's the same person I'm thinking of. And I love this is like the Americana BattleTech experience. It's got that it looks like it could be in Kansas or something like that. Again, it's similar to the previous picture in that it's got that grimdark, it looks like a grimdark feel, but it's just like that lone griffin, this like incredible technology standing in what could be like 19th century America. Again, one of the joys of BattleTech is that you do get that serious I don't know what you call it, flexibility of eras. So, some planets will be like farmland, like turnip farmers where they've never seen a mech. And then on some, planets you'll get it's really quite to us it'd be quite modern. But always the one thing that runs through it are the battle mechs and how they are so quintessential part of this. That whoever this farmer is owns this beautiful griffin that's just kind of stood in a cornfield. I just love this. I don't know if it's like a painting that someone's done, again, that Oliver's done, and then just kind of imposed the mech. Whatever they've done, however they've done it, it's glorious. It looks like it could be like a piece of 19th, 18th century landscaping with this just big white, like a Starling Griffin-esque mech in the middle of this field. It's just brilliant. And again, a bit of juxtaposition there, like new tech and old tech. You've got a cart here or something, or a plough, I don't know what it is, against the backdrop of this glorious Starleague era revelation. That is, if it's the Griffin, is it the 2N, which is one of the greatest mechs in all of BattleTech. Anyway, moving on. Next up, we have got Shimmering Sword. Shimmering Sword is kind of everywhere in BattleTech. Very, very prominent artist. And a wonderful artist as well. This is much like Eldoniousrex's artwork for the Grey Death Legion. This is for the Wolf Dragoons. And much like showing mechs in action, showing that kind of dynamism of movement, this just captures this Marauder. It's the Marauder that really stands out. The regular Marauder, there is a Marauder 2 in the background, but I know it's just like a little thing, but just the way that the foot is raising and the kind of dirt is coming up from the foot, it just looks like it. Like you can see that in your mind's eye running towards you, and then you've got the dynamic of the PPCs and the MLAs, and you've got the AC5 shooting. So it's just doing a full alpha strike. Regardless whether it's for the Wolf Dragoons or not. I know the Wolf Dragoons are they're kind of the unit that people love to hate in BattleTech because they're so powerful and so prominent. But I just think this is a brilliant piece of artwork. Love the setting as well, on the moonscape, so it's very, very bleak. But you've got kind of the power of the Wolf Dragoons on show here with a big, dropship in the background and two very, very powerful mechs there in the Marauder and its bigger brother, the Marauder 2. I think, it's not the 2C, it's just the regular 2 is that. There's a few here from Shimmering Sword. So we have also got his, it's similar to the last one actually, but this is for the Grey Death Legion, and this is very much like classic Grey Death Legion. So this is one of the original mechs that they get, which is the Marauder, and I just love how chunky this boy is. Usually you associate the Marauder being really narrow profile, but I like how he's done that. It looks almost like a shark. It's got much bigger bulbous head, probably just from the way that the kind of angle is positioned, but it just looks really daunting and terrifying, but very similar to the previous piece. It's alpha striking, it's got that foot coming up, but he's done it this time for a classic Marauder for the Grey Death Legion. And I love on the artwork here, not a clan ERPPC. So it's the Marauder from the post-clan invasion era. So just a standard variant of the PPC. So it's not that classic. It's not like a 3025 iteration. Just we can tell that from the copy there on the arm. Another beautiful piece of artwork that he did here. Again, something really gravitates to me towards this picture, and I think it's like a modern one as well. Obviously, Shimmering Sword. Anthony Scroggins is the guy behind this. I think he certainly signed it off as Anthony Scroggins anyway. This is the Sunder, which is, I think it's the Sunder. Anyway, this is slightly out of my kind of repertoire for knowing BattleTech stuff, but just brilliant. I love the infantry as well. It gets quite dark. Obviously, very dark. There are like people being flamed and shot. And I love this guy here. He's looking at like directly like breaking the fourth wall. Like, look what I'm having to deal with today. He's got like his co-workers are being PPC'd, flamed, and machine gunned. And he knows that he's next. So yeah, pretty dark that one, but just a beautiful like city scene, just excellent piece of art. Moving on, then this is Sigmarx X. I really like this picture. It's something. It's obviously an Orion, so it's quite like there's nothing glaringly like I don't know what you could say. Like there's nothing that just like stands out. It's just it's just a jaunty Orion. It's just an Orion taking a stroll. I love the colour of that Orion as well. I love the colour scheme that it's popping here, which is that like brown stripe against the blue. It just, I don't know. There's something about it that just really jumps out for me. It's one of those mechs as well where the artist has really kind of put their own stamp on what they think an Orion is. So it doesn't look like much at all like the Orions in the new plastics. Doesn't really look much at all like the Orions from the old metal artwork. It's something in between, and I love that about it. It's just like it's again the artist really kind of taken time, but it is an Orion. It's the standard LRM15 SRM4. It's got the AC10 on there, 2 M lasers in the arms, so very standard Orion. It just looks like it's been made out of a bespoke factory. So it's more the colours and the clouds and just everything on that just pops for me, and I love it. Next up, we got Sir Dub Dub. This is, I think this, just that kind of search and rescue element to this, so something a bit different. It's a locust pulling, you can't really tell what this mech is. It may be a hunchback. Obviously, I think you can see the hunch there, where the AC-20 is. It looks like it's got that, like corrugated type of hunchback viewing, like window as well. And I think that might be an S-laser. But I love this because it's like a light mech just dragging a much heavier mech out with like it's tied just to like a regular rope. Again, though, it's like the artists really kind of put their own kind of impression on this, and it just looks like really, really just an interesting piece of art, I'd say. Like the water, kind of how it runs off the mech. It's just different. It almost looks like there's like a style to this one that you don't really see across much BattleTech art. Usually it's very like, like the mechs in movement or whatever. This is like being, it's just got the artist's absolute stamp on it as how they view the universe. And I do like it when people do things like that. Next up, we got Spooky 777. So someone else who's like a very prominent BattleTech artist. And I love this one because, first of all, I love the Bushwacker. It's one of my favourite mechs. This captures the Bushwacker beautifully. I love it that like there's so much going on in this image. It's a very like technical image. There's like cherry pickers changing ammo. They've kind of stripped off certain elements of the mech and are like messing around with the interior. I think is what I love about this most is the L laser here. It's something where I wish they'd done that on the plastic models. These like big square lasers just look so much better than just like the regular round ones. I think you keep the round stuff for the AC weaponry, but I would love to see that kind of design incorporated into the plastic mechs. So Fedson's like forced this as well, which you'd kind of expect. The Bushwacker's very much a Fedcom Lyran, Fedcom Alliance type mech. And again, just everything going on in this image with like the soldiers in the background and the techs working on it. It just really kind of brings again BattleTech to life. And the Bushwacker as well. I don't think you could have done this on a better mech because there's so much going on with the Bushwacker. It's such an unusual mech in terms of how it looks and feels. And I do have a special reverence for those mechs that have got a distinct look. What I don't like is mechs where you've got like, 2 giant guns on the shoulders and just little guns in the arm. Like this mech, it's just like it's higgledy-piggledy, but it just looks like a real vulture of a mech, like it's going to swamp in and come and get you. Another one from Spooky77 here. This is another one of those like action pictures. This is a Kodiak versus a Mauler, so it's the Clan Ghost Bear versus the Draconis Combine. So presumably this was the wars between them because, you know, obviously they share a border with each other post clan invasion, and yeah, not friendly towards each other. And I love this. Is almost like a big like two fingers up to the clans, because you can see the clans are very much like no, we don't engage in physical contact, and then they give a mech like the Kodiak these basically claws, which is then ripping into the the poor Mauler in here. This looks like a regular variant of the Mauler as well, so you can just see the AC2s, two of them getting destroyed on this side, and then two of them still operational here. It's got the big LRM-15s in there. I mean, whoever's piloting the Mauler is in for a bad day there, because this is a mech that shoots at long range pretty much exclusively and has ridiculously managed to get into close proximity against one of the most dangerous mechs in BattleTech, which is the Kodiak. With UAC-20, multiple ERM lasers in the arms, an SRM-6, it's a monster of a mech. So unlucky for the Karita guy there. You can see he's even got like scratch marks on the other side here. So he's probably had quite a bad day all around with his Kodiak. Next up we got, again, I think I found this on DeviantArt. So it's JJM1 or User01. Again, more Bushwhackers here. But I love this version of the Bushwacker. It's like sleek top Bushwacker. You see, it's got this tiny head. Like usually, the Bushwhacker's head is usually like double the size of this. But as soon as I saw this, I was like, that is incredible. Like, I would love to see a plastic variant of that. It just looks like it's almost got like the head of a flea, but with the body and like the armaments of a Bushwacker. Oh, sorry, the legs and the armaments of a Bushwacker. It's just, oh, I love this. I absolutely love it. I love that there are like two of them as well, slightly different. But they've both got that, like, whatever the factory were doing that day, they just decided to go with this like sleek option on the head. I've got to say as well, I do have a special resonance for the desert settings when it comes to mechs. I think the deserts really make mechs pop. I think if you go back through this, you'll see a lot of like moonscapes and anything that's simple. I'm not particularly keen on like big jungle areas or things like that. I like the focus to be on the BattleTech area, which is either the mechs or the characters. And I think that's it. That's the last one. So I hope you enjoyed that. That's kind of a bit of a run through there. Some of my favourite BattleTech current artists in play. Nowhere to go from here really, so I think I'm just gonna finish up quite quickly. But if there are any artists out there that you love, or maybe I've got some of the detail there wrong as well. I did notice that in some of them I don't really know these artists. I've just come across them. So if you've got any other artwork that you point me in the direction of, I would appreciate that, because I'm not like a hoarder of BattleTech art or anything, but if I like something enough, I will go and like pay for it and get it printed. And I think everything on here is glorious. It's just, outside of like Hatchy, who does commissions, and Eldonious, who basically sells his artwork, the others tend to be kind of operating online. So do support them where you can. If they've got like Patreon pages, that obviously we mentioned Anthony Scroggins in there as well. Anthony's one of the key developers for BattleTech art. So yeah, support those people, look after them, because they look after us. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. I'll thank you very much for watching, and I'll hopefully catch you again next time.